Around a resident of how the community that's videotaping all meetings moving forward. She is a USF student and her major is film, and all the funding for that videotaping is private, so nothing attached to the POA as is. Therefore, it's not accessible to everyone. We have a quorum. Rishi Vasudevan is actually in California traveling for work, and it's part of the nature of this board where individuals do volunteer their time, no one's being paid, and they have the liberty to continue what they do outside of the POA board, meaning the work requirements and everything. We have, in case for the new folks, we have Naveen Joshi, a long-time resident of Cory Lake, Dr. Baba Min, long-time resident, and Dr. Reddy, long-time resident of the community. I think he's been here the longest, turn of the century, and myself, Harish Rampal.
Long-time resident.
Long-time resident. And we didn't have a
fellow with a funny tricycle.
And we didn't have the proof of notice of the meeting. It was posted, and basically the first thing we're going to do is actually open up the floor for public comment before we get into our agenda items. Again, you're free to speak. If you haven't signed up, just raise your hand. You'll be allotted 3 minutes, and basically that 3 minutes is you say whatever you have to say. It's not interaction with the board as far as public speaking is not required, but at the end of the day, whatever you say we'll take into consideration. If it's something to put on the agenda, we'll do it on the agenda. If not, it shall be your time, your subject matter. And we ask that you extend courtesy towards your neighbors if you're going to speak, and speak your mind, but be cognizant of who's around you, and do not get into any kind of conflict with your neighbors. First individual on this speaker sheet is Parag Shah.
Thank you. All right, so I have 3 minutes. I'm going to go through this fast. Can the board explain the difference between the DRC and the covenants? That's my first question. I think a lot of people are confused on what the difference is. Number two, I want to address there is a form, like 4,800 word email that was sent by an individual to many residents in this community. And to give you some context, a typical editorial that you find in the newspaper is like 500 words. So this was 9 times as much as a normal editorial. Anyways, there isn't enough time to go over each point in the lengthy diatribe, but there are a few points I believe that need to be clarified by the board. Number one of the things that was sent in the email is First Service, the old management company, receives a discount on their insurance policy because of their buying power, and when Wise replaced First Service, the discount went away. Can you address that? Point 3. This email goes on and attacks the residents or some of the things that have been done to Capri Isle. I don't live in Capri Isle, but I want to address a few of these things. And if you were at the CDE meeting, you would have heard me say this. It says in the email, sidewalks, playground, fountain, volleyball court were all because of the residents of Capri Isle. One, sidewalks were put in place because people were walking along the streets. It was a safety concern. Playground, I don't know if many people know this, there's more children in Capri Isle, concentrated in Capri Isle, than any other aisle by far. It's not even close. So the playground was there for the children. 3 was fountain. The fountain is enjoyed by everyone, not just Capri Isle. 4 is the volleyball court. There's no sign on the volleyball, sand volleyball, that says Capri Isle residents only. In fact, I was there this Saturday. There were residents from 6 aisles. Okay, so I don't want to hear this garbage that it's only for Capri Isle. Point 4, the email goes on to say, do we really need Christmas lights when a significant portion of our homeowners do not celebrate Christmas? Okay, let me first say they're not Christmas lights or holiday lights. And whether you like it or not, we compete, our home values compete with other communities, Arbor Green, Hunters Green, and they all have Christmas lights. And anecdotally, my 4-year-old, she absolutely loves Christmas lights, especially the icicle ones that go down the tree, you know what I'm talking about? So please don't get rid of them. Please support the Christmas lights or the holiday lights. Point 5, last meeting I stood up and urged the board to video record each meeting and post it to the POA website. After the meeting, I was approached by Harry, who asked me if I wanted to spearhead the search. Like a good neighbor, I went to work. Now, at the meeting last time, there was already an individual recording the meetings, and she does this on her vocation. So I asked her, would you want to do this for the POA? I asked her multiple times. My whole thing is, why not be a good neighbor and say, Parag, that was a really good suggestion. I already do it. Obviously, I find value in it. Let me take ownership for this community and ask permission by the POA to put it on the POA website. Is that what happened? No, sir. Instead, when I asked this individual, she refused to answer and somehow twisted this and said on social media that I was attacking her professionally. Come on, guys, give me a break. To be clear, public, and transparent, I don't know how good or bad anyone in this room is at their job, and to be blunt, I really don't give two shits how good or bad you are at your job. Nonetheless, I placed an ad online. Amanda responded, and she happens to be a Cory Lake resident, as Harry said, and it's about good to go. I made a suggestion, I got approval from the board to do it. Next meeting, here she is. I'm about action. If you know it, if any of you guys know me, I'm about action. Okay? It's not about talk, it's not about innuendos, it's not about conjecture, it's about action. And those that know me well, I talk the talk, but goddamn, I walk the walk as well. Okay? This leads me to my next point. There's now a private Facebook group with a mission statement that says, quote, bring the community together and allow members an opportunity to discuss their opinion and have open discussions freely. I find this interesting. How can you talk about bringing the community together to discuss ideas when you make it private? Let me repeat that again. How can you make it open to everyone when you make it private? Thus segregating residents. To me, that's more exclusion than inclusion. And it just defeats the premise of the whole thing. Okay? My last point I want to bring up is this notion that the board is not diverse. Okay? And now, what I'm about to say may not land with everyone, but as someone who was chastised and discriminated against for being brown-skinned after 9/11, being in high school, I personally find it comical that a Caucasian woman is complaining about having a board that is all minorities. What does skin color have to do with anything? Why is that even being brought up? When the board was all Caucasian for years and years and years, no one said anything. How come all of a sudden people are saying stuff right now? Okay? This nation is founded on democracy. You want to run for something, you campaign for it, you get the most votes, you get to sit on the board. That's how it works. Okay? You know, there's 50 years of military experience sitting at that table. Okay? They fought for that freedom. They fought for the democracy. Heck, Harry took 2 bullets for our country. He took 2 bullets for our country, and now you're saying, oh, you can run, you can get the votes, but you can't sit on the board because you're brown? Get out of here. Give me a break. Get that crap out of my community. Okay? Lastly, I went to a conference last year where Barack Obama gave a keynote speech. And I think it's really relevant to share. He said, when he was in elementary school, one of his teachers would always tell him, Barack, I'm more interested in your solutions than hearing about your problems. He said he's always told his cabinet, for every problem they have, he must bring 3 solutions. And as commander-in-chief, he will let them to find the right course of action. And I think we should learn from that. And I urge everyone, for every issue you want to bring to the board, bring 3 solutions. Okay, don't just bring them problems, bring 3 solutions. Okay. Volunteer spearheaded committee, if the board deems it appropriate, right? Ask not what the community can do for you, ask what you can do for this community. Thank you, I yield my remaining 3 minutes.
Just to let you know, the person who knows more than anyone is Harish on this board, but I'm going to answer the best I can. The covenants are something that we can't change unless 51% of the voters, not 51% of all those who vote, all the voters. So let's say you have 1,000 houses, you have to have 501 votes. in order to make a change. The DRC manual, which sets a lot of rules, like the kind of shrubs, pots, ornaments on top of the mailbox, that's something that can be changed by the POA vote. As far as the discount thing, I'll let Douglas answer that. And I believe that Harish even researched it because he spent 3 months non-stop trying to find an insurer who would insure us. And I agree with you on Christmas. I'm not a Christian, I'm a Hindu. But I always had a Christmas tree growing up. And I make sure when my son grew up, he had a Christmas tree. Christmas is a holiday, is an American holiday, it's a holiday for everyone. Same thing, you go to Indonesia, Cambodia, India, Christians celebrate the local holidays there. It's a festivity for everyone. So I'm in favor of keeping Christmas. I don't know if we don't have that authority, it's the CDD that have the authority, but I don't think there's anybody on this board that objects to it. And let's see, by the way, Parag, you're an excellent speaker, but maybe, and I can't infringe upon your right, maybe less profanity, but that's just my opinion, I could be wrong. Gee, what's that he asked about the board? Oh yes, the board. Jimmy Taylor and Kevin Hickling, okay, they're as white as you can get, and they were on the board. We begged them to come back, but because of the contentiousness, they didn't join. I don't want to mention names, but we've asked so many other people who are not of Indian ethnicity to join, and they say, nope, we don't want to be sued personally. Unfortunately, the losing side, I wouldn't even say, when I say the losing side, not even the voters, but the few people who are contentious with us, made sure that people don't run. And it just happens only people who are willing to step up to the plate who are brown faces. But we are open to anybody. If you're interested in joining us, we welcome you. We just ask that we agree, we get along. That's it. And we have, if you look at our votes, I mean, it's public record to get the proxies, that we've had all sorts of people vote for us, but they're not interested in being on the board. And if I left out something, Harish, take over, and then let Douglas answer about the discount.
For the insurance, we did.
Yes. The insurance agent can't say, just because you're not with this company, you're not going to get this rate from this insurance company. An insurance company can't, they have to offer the same rate to everyone based on their claims. They can't say, just because you're with this company, we're going to give you a better rate because of group buying power. Your rate is based on you, the association. It's like if you get insurance on your home, if you go to State Farm or AIG or Geico or whoever for insurance on your home, or American Coastal or Citizens or what have you, they rate you based on your claims history and you. They're not going to rate you based on what company you have or what agent you have. It's based on your claims history and you. If a company advertises that, that would be a concern.
Thank you.
So you're basically saying it's fake news.
Well, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say that it's not likely. And as a matter of fact, the agent that you had, we got the renewal rate. The rate went up, and the agent clearly said, because of the claims history, this is why the rate went so high. The agent never once said, because you left such and such management company. And this agent works with, as a matter of fact, they insure another community that we manage. We work with that agent. So they work with multiple companies. And we found you a better rate with another agent, actually, than what they were even offering.
Next speaker, Ron.
Good afternoon, the community. I think I have an honor here, maybe I'm the black is darker than brown, so I think that I want to address you, but I retired from the corporation with about 440,000 people, and I do know corporations have buying power. When they bundle the service together, I would ask you to go back and revisit that thought. But what I'm really here for, but because I don't think that's correct, I'd ask you to visit that because I'm quite sure you're anywhere, and I want to address that for the sake of the community. But what I would ask is that what I'm more concerned about, given all the rhetoric that we hear here, is that at the last meeting I asked the question, how are we going to move the community forward? And I hear the loser's term and all that. And by the way, when you talk about inclusion, if that's a private fund, I got a little money I'd be willing to invest in a private fund and make sure this video is for the community. As a matter of fact, I'll fund it if necessary so that we don't have any issues. Because I think transparency is key. So if we talk about privacy and all, you got to duplicate the same thing that Rod alluded to there. So if we could curtail that, respectively, in the board here, I think we need to curtail that action. Let's get down to information is power, lack of it renders you powerless. But I think the key thing to ask the question is, how do we move this community forward? I read, I do everything, all my communications right here. You don't see my name out on Facebook, you don't see me out on Nextdoor. I'm not a guy, I'll look you in the eye and tell you what I think. You can agree, disagree with me, that's who I am. But I'm all about Cory Legals. I'm not worried about who you did to. I myself, for the history, myself and 22 other kids, we desegregated school in Alabama. There are things I've been called, none of you ever will be. So that's not your problem. That's all about my greatness. That's why I stand so proud to say who I am. But what I'm really here, all in the neighborhood here, that and I'm a long-term member here. I moved here at 6, so I've been here a little while as well. But the thing is, how do we restore the value back to this neighborhood? How can we go from a full-time property management company to what we can't even define as part-time? How do we protect our investments? I think from a mission statement and from an organizational structure and from a dialogue with the community, I think what everyone's getting a little irate about is that how do we do, given the present structure of the neighborhood, when everyone could agree we weren't there before it started raining, and now we sure as heck won't even get there with the sunshine with 1 day a week. If you look at some of the stuff and some of the terminology, and I'm very proficient with contracts and all the contract language, and most of all execution there. And I'd be willing to serve on any board. I don't have to like Garage, but I doggone bet when we get through, the community's gonna be better. We'll fight it out about some things, but it's gonna be about how we improve the community. So I asked the question of wise management to the board. I shouldn't sorry for addressing wise, but to the board here. How can, in a constructive way, we say that the contract that you structure is going to protect my investment along with the rest of the neighbors here? And last thing I'll ask this is that I had the privilege of, or the horror of being at the last CDD meeting, and if I've ever offended anyone in here, I apologize. But for the way some of the members of the board, including you, Rob, conducted yourself there, we can't do that. We gotta get bigger than that. That was totally off the chain, unprofessional, and undeserved. Because from what I've seen, I read a lot of emails. I don't broadcast emails, but I read it. There have been some people that have said some things that are far worse, and in America, you entitled to your opinion, just as everyone else in here as well. That's what makes America great. So what I ask is that, can we move forward? Can you tell me how, at the end of the day, if I sell the next year or next week or 6 years from now, that this contract that you structured is going to protect my investment? And thank you for your time and neighborhood, but we've got to move forward. And we're spinning too much wheels, and we're kind of like Washington right now. Everyone's talking about the 2000. What's in the windshield out here? What is the opportunity in front of us? How do we do the things that's right for Cory Lake Island, and how do we begin to heal? But I can tell you right now, based on when I saw the insults and the accusations that were hurled at a person sitting in this room by some people on the board that demand respect, that decided not to give it. You can't have it both ways. If you want everyone to respect you in here, you've got to conduct yourself accordingly. For the things that y'all did, I don't think that's right, and we need to move forward. Let's cut out the behavior. Let's get down to what makes Cory Lake good, and I'll support you in any way that I can, but I will not support what you did in the last meeting. Thank you.
Ron, I am really grateful you said that. You've come a long way. I remember in 2017 when Amrit and I won the election, you walked from the chair, came and yelled at us that we don't belong here, that we're just here to do favors for our friends, and then the president, Greg Nielsen, and you thumbs up each other, and Bob Abijan, a loser, thumbs up each other. But that's water under the bridge. You've come a long way, and I'll extend the same courtesy to you. I salute you, I thank you. Now, as far as what we can, as having a full-time CAM, we need the funds. Right now, we've had so many lawsuits, a total of 22, if I've lost count. Mr. Driscoll, please correct me.
I don't know how many it is total, so I don't want to throw a number
Right.
out there that may not be correct.
And we couldn't get anybody to insure us. Somehow we found someone with 75 for the officers and 25 for the CAM, 100,000 deductible. We need reserves. Now, if we can build those reserves, we can get a CAM back. And if you want to, walk around and I don't know, what the board members can join you. If you have a suggestion, let's talk about it. If we can raise the funds and we have enough reserves for our deductible, and we have enough money, sure, why not? But in the meantime, we really have to tighten our belts. As far as investments, every one of us has a house here, and we have no incentive in losing the value of our properties. And as far as unprofessionalism, I agree with you. It's unprofessional. What was said at the CDD, it was also unprofessional for that board member to send disparaging letters in the community like that. It was also unprofessional in 2017 when he sent an email that we on the board, including myself, was somehow financially involved with construction of the 55 plus community and asked to annex. I had nothing to do with it. Neither did anyone on that running had anything to do with it. So it's unprofessional on every side. You're nice to us, we're nice to you. You've made, you extended a hand and we'd like to do something in return. So we're ready to meet you, come up with constructive ideas. We're not here for power. We felt we were being picked on, and we feel now that we represent everybody. And honestly, we're getting the votes. Some people must trust us.
Mr. President, may I address one comment you made? If I may,
Hold on. Before we continue,
if I may.
anyone else has any public comment you want to make? Go ahead.
This is more of a question. My name is Bruce Vitale. I live on Barbados Island. So I missed the point, I guess, of what exactly the plan was for limiting our community company that takes care of our forces, our deed restrictions. We're dropping them to 1 day a week. Is that what our plan is? Or I missed that point. Can you explain that really quickly to me? I mean,
You've been here a while. I've known you for many years. I've knew of you for many years. I think we had interaction
yeah.
back in 2006, 7, and 8. Did we have a CAM back then, full-time in the community?
Well, when I moved here, Gene Thompson and his board was in full control of everything, both boards. I don't know for sure. I do know that the number one goal of the board should be to protect the investments of the homeowners. And part of, maybe the biggest part of protecting the homeowners is to enforce the deed restrictions as either they are written or adjusted, whatever happens. If we can't have somebody in our community looking to enforce the deed restrictions that are in place, how do we expect to keep our community from sliding downhill? It will, 100%. As I look now, it doesn't appear to me that the deed restrictions are enforced, at least not unilaterally across the board fairly. I see some homeowners have this, some guys have statues in the yard, some people have planters in the yard. I mean, there's just kind of a hodgepodge of things going on in our community right now. I, for one, don't care who's on the board. I'm thankful that anybody would want to run for it, to be honest with you. I don't approve of the abuse the board takes, and I don't approve of the board and the comments and the condescending attitude that we used to have in our community with other boards. I mean, it's a horrible situation. All I care about is that the board is enforcing the deed restrictions in the community, which are in place to help our values of our homes grow. If we don't have a reserve fund, well, then that's nothing short of incompetence by a number of people over a number of years. I don't see devaluing our homes as an avenue, a proper avenue to getting a reserve fund. In the 5 years it might take to put $100,000 in our account, we might lose that or more in our community value. I just don't see that as a great viable option, personally. Maybe a subcommittee of people to self-enforce, I don't know. But we do need, our community is failing on a number of levels. It's failing in the camaraderie we have here. It's failing in our infrastructures. Our roads look horrendous. The landscaping looks good. I mean, good things are happening. I'm not saying that good things aren't happening. What I'm saying is that we need to positively enforce our deed restrictions and need to keep those in place to keep our community growing and moving forward. Otherwise, you know, people are not going to move in here. They're not going to come here. Just, to me, that is the most important thing. That's why I came tonight. Addressing the lawsuits. Nobody wants to see lawsuits. I was part of the lawsuit against Gene Thomason, and the only reason that lawsuit took place was because the deed restriction said we are entitled to certain things. They were requested professionally in accordance with the deed restrictions and were not turned over. The only recourse was to sue. He was sued. They got what they wanted. He's out. A new board came in. I stopped coming to the meetings. Why? I assumed we were on the right track. Now it just seems like we're kind of going down the wrong road again. And, you know, I just want to see things feel like everything is on that road to making our community whole and keeping our property values up. So that's my opinion on this plan. Whether the plan just works or not, I don't know. But that's my concern.
Thank you. Thank you. Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle Shaw, and I was involved in it originally, and I haven't been involved in a long time. And I do appreciate everybody who serves on the board, because it really takes a lot of time and energy. But I have the same concern too, that if we go to 1 day a week, I mean, I feel like the deed restrictions already are not really enforced, whether unilaterally or at all a lot of times, and I just have a concern that 1 day a week also that the property values, you know, will really suffer from that. And I mean, I understand the need for a reserve, but I wonder if there's another way around that as opposed to just, you know, cutting the property management 4 days a week. And I don't know, like, park on it, like, are they getting fined? Like, I'm wondering, you know, how that whole process is working and being followed through upon, because how somebody could have a blue plastic tarp on their roof in this neighborhood for 18 months is almost like, I can't even imagine how that took place. So that kind of thing is really frustrating because I feel like that, you know, devalues my property when somebody comes in, and I live a little further down on Cory Drive, the original part of the development here. So I'm just wondering how, you know, something like that takes place and how it can last for 18 months. And is that person being fined, and are those fines being collected upon in general? You know, I am concerned too, because I too stopped coming like Bruce, because I was like, oh, thank God, when we got rid of Gene. And, you know, we have, you know, the ability to control the neighborhood as neighbors, which we should. But it does seem to kind of be sliding back into some kind of contentious, you know, thing that is really unfortunate for the neighborhood all around. So anyway, I don't know if anybody has anything they can, you know, say to that or what's happening.
All right, Michelle, thank you so
Before you
much.
speak, I got a fine. So,
Oh, are you that house?
no, no, I'm not.
Sorry. Oh, it's not you, okay.
It's not me, it's not me. As far as, I'm still getting fines. In fact, I got one, when did you guys send one to me? My wife takes care of all those things, so I don't see that, but I already got one. So, no, it's not that we're not sending them out, we're sending them out.
Okay.
I've been here since 2000. When Gene was in control, when other boards were in control, there's always one house that has something. And just like you, I'd come and ask, hey guys, what's going on? Why isn't something being done? And I was told, well, we can't discuss those things. It's legal. We can't talk about other people. We can't shame. It's a legal issue. We can't say if it was already sent over to an attorney, and now I'm in the same position. For all you know, there's a lien on the house, or they're taken to court. We can't discuss those things.
Yeah, that's on the record, but.
Yes, and just, I think I can talk about one situation as an example, only because those folks have moved out of the country. They had a tarp on their house for something like, as you say, 18 months. We allowed it because the contractor took their money, and they had the insurance money, and they had a lawsuit pending. You know how long lawsuits take? So till that was cleared, then they got the insurance company could collect the money back from the contractor. They couldn't get it repaired. So there are sometimes circumstances. I'm sure there are some people who are callous and don't care. But Mr. Driscoll can tell you, we have taken them to court. But sometimes there's things we just can't discuss.
So you're saying you're saying you made like an exception because his contractor took the money, and is that what you're saying?
It's not that we made an exception. It's not that they didn't do the due diligence. There was some litigation going on, and that had to go through the court systems. That's one example. There's a house here. I'm not going to even hint which street it's on, where, again, to call it an eyesore would be an understatement. This occurred many years ago under previous boards. And everybody would come and say, why the hell aren't you doing something about it? Well, I later found out, when I got on the board, what the situation was. The person has cancer, he doesn't have a job, he has a very ill wife, son, I can't state what the illness is, and it's homestead. So we send them fines, we put liens on the house, but there's nothing you can do. That house, for years and years, it's like I say, eyesore would be is an understatement. There are situations like that, but
Yeah.
I'm still getting fines, not fines, summons, and I take care of it.
But if, I guess if we're struggling to keep up with, you know, what's happening in the neighborhood, houses that need to be fined or whatever. Currently, at 5 days a week, how are we going to maintain anything at 1 day a week?
Let me answer that, Michelle. It's not 1 day a week, it's gonna be as needed. We have a plan in place on how we're gonna structure the inspection throughout this community
Okay.
moving forward. So, rest assured, no one's gonna be spared any kind of enforcement or basically, you take care of property, we have no problem in those issues. If you don't, then, then you'll get a letter from us. A quick thing, for the audience. I've known Michelle and I've known Bruce for many years. I was in Fort Meade for 5 years, and then I came back here. And like Bruce and Michelle, I wasn't involved. I really didn't care. But when I came back, I was given a position in the CEC to rubber stamp fines, and I objected to it. I didn't like what I see, so therefore. I didn't like what I see, so I get involved. And when I get involved, I get involved. Bruce knows, Michelle knows, we got involved back in 2006 and 7. So, to answer your question, to move this community forward, we need everyone to be on board. The first day of this election that I got on this board, I opened the door for anyone who wants to come on board, but apparently no one chose to come on board. The door is still open for suggestion. I even spoke to individuals, I offered them the invitation to come on board. But again, no one wants to come on board. It's easy to stay on the sidelines and actually heckle than to do something about it. So, again, I'll ask, whatever you have to say, you say, but if you want action, please do sign up and we'll talk about it. Yes, Tom.
Yeah, again, thanks to the board. Again, thanks to us now, I recognize that. 3 quick things. One, do we still have a forced mowing program on the POA level? Many residents may know there's one house in particular that looks like it's been mowed for quite some time, near the Cross Creek entrance. So I think that's one way it could help, if we still have it, so perhaps address that. 2, from an information perspective, clearly, for the community to know what's going on is important. And one of the ways that was done previously was through a forum. My understanding is that perhaps we're switching from the Appfolio portal that was bought last year to the Wise portal. I'm not sure, so that's only what I've heard. But if we could make sure that minutes are posted, so those who can't make it to the meeting are kept informed, that would go a long ways. And even for that matter, great that we got the video going. Thank you. That's a wonderful thing. Is that can be posted somewhere where the residents can actually see that. So, what are we doing from a portal solution to share information with the community? And finally, the last thing goes to what a lot of folks have addressed today relative to the LCAM going down in hours to help protect our interests. I can speak from 3 years ago when on the board, we had a full-time LCAM, and we actually brought in a part-time LCAM as well. I know this board, or the predecessor to this board, some of which you were on that, were talking last year about, we're bringing in a part-timer on weekends. Awesome. And we've got this great schedule, and we're going to adhere to the schedule. So that was hyped up pretty significantly, sounded pretty good. But I think what that told us was there was a need/requirement for a community of this size, with the covenants that we have significant amount of inspections. Not that we like them, but again, we do like to keep our home values up through ensuring that the covenants are taken care of. So I just add that for background info as well.
Thank you.
If you want to hear one last comment.
We're moving on with the
I'd
agenda.
like to say this, if I may, please. Dr. Reddy, you said I've come a long way. Meet me.
I will.
All right, so we're moving on with the agenda.
Well, hey, Harry, are you going to answer? I mean, you answered some of the questions, but do we have forced mowing still in place? And what do we do for a portal solution?
We're doing the budget. You'll see that when the budget comes out. Moving on with the agenda right now.
One more.
Mr.
Kaufman.
Oh, Mr.
Thank you for serving on the board. I've been attending some of the event, and I think more people showed up than that. But what I'm
wasn't real gambling going on. It was just a friendly atmosphere. People had fun. People got to know each other. I met people from all cultures, all races. I made a lot of friends. But what I don't understand is, why aren't more people there? Degree people to make,
Why weren't you there? Is my question.
I was in Dallas.
I don't care, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm looking around this room, and none of you were there.
Some people are busy, some people have their families, and I get it. But I'm on to several community events now,
And so it's the same people.
and it's just, I'm just disappointed, and I'm not upset with any of you, but I want to get to know you, I want to hang out with you, I want to learn about your family, and I want to have fun.
You talk about community, but yet, and just like, we were talking about that home, that couple that were ill. If we knew, I'd go mow their lawn. That's what communities do.
We're so worried about home prices, and we're worried about,
If my next door neighbor's not mowing their lawn, I'm gonna go knock on the door and find out that somebody's sick.
Mrs. Kaufman, the next door neighbors did for a while, but then they got exhausted, they couldn't do it forever.
But there's 1,000 homes, you can take turns, you can put it out there.
Mr. Driscoll, is that legal? We can even mention their names?
That wouldn't really be up to the board to do that. That's for the community to take advantage of that opportunity.
Honestly, if you ask around, Mrs. Kaufman, you'll find out which house that is. And
Nobody talks, everybody's quiet.
but what I'm saying, I see those ends.
yeah, we can't talk about those things.
I know you
We
can't.
can't
I'm
mention the
just
name,
saying.
because it could be construed as shaming. But if you ask around, you'll find which house that is.
The whole point is we're not a community because at these events we don't these are events where we come together and get to know each other. I love to get to know Barack. I think he's a great guy. But I don't see you guys enough outside of this set.
And I agree with you.
Maybe it's not the right kind of activity, maybe it doesn't feel very well.
But I've gone to several events now, and I feel like the time and effort put in these events, we're not getting the return.
I think she hit the nail on. I think Louis hit the nail on the head. It doesn't kill it. Let me give you an example. Like they had a diversity walk. Who is the only people that showed up on the diversity walk? Right.
Yeah, I will say that.
Exactly. No, exactly. Right. It was the people who considered themselves minorities and you guys. So it because it didn't appeal to some people. That walk didn't appeal to some people. So I think you hit the nail on
Well,
the
the
head.
other part I agree with, that maybe it's been done and done and done, and people want to do something different.
I think people are missing the bigger picture.
Is
It's
that
not getting to know each other. It's not
That's
getting to
CB.
know. I'll
CB has to
You make
actually.
an event, I'll be there. It doesn't matter what.
I don't know.
Here's the thing, as a POA, we can't set up those events, it's
I
a
understand,
CBD.
but you can attend those events and talk to me. I love to get to know you, Bob. You live on Barbados. Love to get to know you. And people are throwing parties in their aisles and, just get to know each other. That's all I have.
Dr.
My name is Dr. H. Patel. I was board member, POA board member for 2 years. Just to answer the question this lady just asked. CBD sponsors so many events. They finance, they sponsor. All the events, they are not ethnic or particular group of people should be taking interest. This casino, it is an activity, everybody can join. So it is not that only there were only white people or not Indian people or not other black, different color people were there. That was people, those who were interested, they just attended. There is another activity which is recognized, sponsored by CDD, Senior Citizens Group of Cory. It is being organized by our gentlemen. We meet once a month. Every month without fail, we meet here. Last meeting, I think a couple of days ago, there were about 30-40 people were there. Where were you there?
I've always come.
I didn't see you there.
I was here.
So if that's a question, because you came or Mr. Berman and his wife comes, because they like it, they want to attend it, they want to know what is going on and the lectures, which is very interesting. So even he organized one meeting of the election
That's coming up.
coming up, I think, that is organized by them. And there are 20 people going to go there. So these activities are only those people interested, they just attend it. It's nothing like,
There's no conspiracy.
right, it's no conspiracy or it's nothing like that it is targeted for one particular community and why other communities don't. These gentlemen, they may not be able to attend on those days. Many times I attend that senior citizens group. Many times I don't come even because I have some other things to do. So those things has nothing to do with ethnicity or color or anything. This is just correlates events. Those who are interested, they attend. Thank you.
All right, just to wrap that up, I just want to throw something out there real quick. Back in 2005, 6, and 7, and 8, we didn't have the diversity in this community as we have now. Right now in this community, you have a mini UN, people from every part of this country, basically from Detroit, with different cultural belief from different parts of the world that came to Detroit, came to the United States, they all moved here. They don't share the same interests as many, as mainstream as we are. I'm mainstream, but I don't share those interests either. So it's a CDD sponsored event, and basically if you have to sponsor an event and try to attract people, given the diversity of this community, you're not going to get them to come to those events. Because first of all, certain groups don't believe in gambling, be it fake or real. Certain groups don't indulge in eating pork or beef or certain groups don't drink alcohol or indulge in that or be amongst people who drink alcohol. So again, certain events people will come to, certain events they're not going to attend. So and the CDD knows this. Basically, if you're going to have an event, create something streamlined where everybody can come and have fun, interact, and meet your neighbor, talk to your neighbor. But it's not happening because of the fact that you have to understand the groups in this community in order to actually cater to the needs of certain events. With that said, we're moving to the agenda.
I would just say, Mr. Kaufman, if I was on the CDD, I'd put you on a committee and let you head it.
I would love that because
I believe you.
I moved here, not one person came to my door and introduced themselves to me. But I went out and introduced myself to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Now, I know all my neighbors. And I love them. And we do things together.
Yes.
But I don't know the next street over. I mean, I feel like I have to, I just don't understand why we can't do events. And we were just talking about something, about going somewhere. Where's that written? How did you get my email? I don't get any emails. I have no idea what anyone is talking about here.
All right, moving on to the agenda.
Things going
please.
out.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
Yes, okay.
Approved unanimously. I'm going to move to the new business. The first one on the agenda on the new business is the 2020 proposed budget for board discussion only, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Lee right now.
Okay, so the board has in front of them a copy of the proposed budget for the 2020 year.
What tag is it on the tag?
It's the final one. It's the final one. Sorry. Keep going.
Got it, go.
That's it. Flip one more there, Harry. There you go. I'm sorry to print too small. I'm having a problem reading it myself here. So what we went ahead and did on the 2020 proposed budget was the association already had a reserve set up that was partially funded, and it was an insurance reserve. So there's approximately $39,000 in that, or excuse me, there's a, what's the amount? Can you have me? I apologize. No, I have that. Can you have me that financial, the first page? Because my Wi-Fi closed out on me. I apologize. Technical issue. I apologize. So the association has $36,024 in insurance reserve already. Your deductible is $70,000, $75,000, excuse me. So between the difference of that, we're going to go ahead and start funding that reserve. You had the reserve sitting there. You had not funded it in a period of time. It was not funded in previous years from what I can see, but it is sitting there. So you do have a partial amount in order to, so what we can go ahead and do is continue to fund that reserve this year. So by funding that reserve and bringing you up to $75,000 at the end of your 2020 fiscal year, and the adjustments made in your budget to management services, although Cody's not on site, he's at our office, his location changes, he'll still be visiting the property quite frequently every week, every day. He's just going to be at our office. So it does save you a significant amount of money there, which you're able to reapply funds accordingly to fund that reserve. Your insurance premium did go up as a result of some recent claims, which last year you were budgeted $16,300 for insurance. You've spent $24,800. We're anticipating the premium to be about $27,000 next year. Hopefully it'll be lower. We'll shop it. We'll attempt to get it lower. So with that being said, we would have the assessments at $218.58 for a year for each home.
And just that the residents know if there's any need, because besides that 75,000, there's a 25 back end for the CAN. If there's a need to raise that money, we'll have a special assessment going out throughout the community to raise that money. In the event we burn through that 75,000, we'll have to fund that 25,000. So at the end of the day, we're funding 75 that protects the board, but if there's a 25 that's needed, just to clarify, we'll do a special assessment. But we're hoping it doesn't come to that. And
keep in mind that $75,000 too is funding it fully for the whole year. So on January 1, you won't have all the funds in there right away until you collect all of the assessments.
And in the event next year when we shop for insurance and we have a cheaper insurance with the same coverage, right? Then we'll be able to offset the 2021 budget to reflect whatever needs to be taken out of the reserve. So the goal next year is to fund the insurance without impacting everyone's pocketbook, because at the end of the day, it's not everyone's fault that a few people decide to do what they did. And we all know too well that, we have to pony out the cost for other people's actions. So one accomplishment we did, we managed to keep fees basically the same as last year. Probably like a few dollars increase here and there. It's not final. It'll be final when we go through now. But I've never seen this done in this community where the budget was proposed to the resident beforehand, before a final budget was established. All I saw was a final budget that came to my door, basically demanding money. In this instance, we're showing everybody, basically, here's the budget. And I just want to throw one thing out there. If there's a public record request for documentation, if you want to see this, you just go through Cory. And there's an avenue that has to be adhered to, basically, to get whatever records you need. And Cory and Doug and Weiss have that written. But back to the insurance and the budget. It's an accomplishment to do it with the same funds that we did last year. Basically, the prior budgets had a lot of fluff in it, and we have to streamline it in order to make it part of the community. Prior years, everything was paid to the developer, and we never know what happened. So now, full disclosure now, I'm offering that to the whole committee. I was never afforded that for many years. So again, if you need information, you want to go public record request, whatever, you follow the channel, get that public record request in, and we'll take it from there. You get to view whatever document. This board, from day one, we're not in the business of holding records from anyone, because I've gone through that lawsuit with Bruce Vitale and Michelle Shaw back in 2006-07 when we came to meetings and they had secret meetings right there. And when we approached them, they go silent. We wanted records, nothing was given to us. So we had to take measures legitimately to actually get those records. And the day we went to court, 12 boxes were there. I went through the boxes when we got it. I went through all the financials. And we found a lot of stuff during it. And I can guarantee you this board is not in the business to repeat what was done to this community. And though you may hear things out there, I ask that you come to me and ask me whatever questions you have. I will give you documentation if it's in my possession. We're not hiding anything. We're transparent. And the budget is transparent. Forced mowing, I did that back in 2006 and 7. I took my lawnmower, went to my neighbor's house who abandoned the properties on Cosmo Island Drive, 7 properties, and I mowed those lawns. Didn't ask for a penny from anyone. We did it throughout the whole community. Everybody had their block that they did it. So forced mowing, yes, we did that. This time the economy is different. If the property goes into despair, we'll handle it when we get there. So, at the end of the day, transparency is key. And if you need something, ask. Don't go off the edge and start spreading rumors or trying to do anything to hinder the community or to cast darkness upon your neighbors or anything like that. It's all available.
With that being said, I may ask, does the board want to make a motion to send notice and the proposed budget out to all residents for the next meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Please do. All right, next item on the agenda. And at the end of the meeting, we'll give everybody an opportunity, 10 minutes to see whatever you have to see. Each one will be allotted 2 minutes. Attorney Matters.
All right, thank you very much. We've got 14 pending mortgage foreclosure actions that are going on in the community that I'm involved in, so those are just continuing to move along. There is one property that is the subject of a mortgage foreclosure that's been going on since 2010, unfortunately, and that does not look like it's anywhere near completion, unfortunately.
Can I ask what street it's on?
That property happens to be at 18009 Lanai, which is also...
The worst one.
Which is also on my agenda and radar because of the Airbnb activity and the lien that the association has on that property. I've got a hearing scheduled on my motion to close that file out that we have been struggling to get hearing time with the judge in this particular case. Her calendar is very difficult to get on, but we finally did get on that calendar and we have a hearing scheduled for November. So I'm anticipating that that case will be closed out and that we will be proceeding to a foreclosure sale on that property in November. And in that judgment, I'm also asking the court to order that the Airbnb activity be ordered to be stopped. So hopefully that will come to a conclusion. You'll see some changes on that property. As you know, we did get title to, or got the property sold at 10730, I think it is, Cory Lake, which was the other.
How much did we get on that property, Tim?
We got paid in full, I believe. I don't want to misstate the number, but I thought we recovered about $8,000. I turned it over to Weiss, but it was between $5,000 and $8,000. But I feel like it was like maybe the sale was $8,000 and we got $5,000. But I can certainly get those numbers, and Doug would have that as well.
How much attorney's expenses did we spend on it?
I don't know that
Did we
answer.
at least get our attorney's expense out of it?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the balance goes towards our...
6,000. We covered 6,000.
Okay.
And I can't speak to what the prior attorney did, because remember I inherited that case and it was a mess when I inherited it, but we got it over the goal line and got it finished. The only other thing that I wanted to bring up was if homeowners request records from the association and you obtain those records, you may have some legal responsibilities with what you do with those records. You're all entitled to see those records and you're entitled to ask for them. The board's required to keep them, and the board is required to provide them to you. But what you do with those records once you get them is your responsibility entirely. So, for instance, if you get information about past due